that I've done. All right, hey, everybody, it's my own self-intro again. Andy is out in the far reaches of whatever county he's in. Andy, the guy that usually does my intro here. Anyway, I'm Mark Sweetman. This is the off night. This is for comics and other creative people who usually work night, and they join us on the off night. It's usually a bunch of old comics from back in the 70s, 80s, a few new comics, and whoever wants to stop by. All right. So that's it. That's the introduction. That's as good as an introduction as I usually get from Andy. So let's begin the show. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna fade the music. Here it goes. Whee! Fade the music. Whee! Yeah, I'm the tech guy too, so that's why this always looks so poor. All right. So here we are, June 12th, 2023. I'm still here. There's still people doing comedy, and of course, Andy's not here. We usually do a little back and forth with each other. Well, since he's not here, let's get right to my wife. My wife provides
you got a bullet hole in your head. That looks like.
All right. You know what? I said I could change that while we're working on this there. So my wife provides the topical topics poem at the beginning of the show, and it'll be no different now. I'm not going to give her a spot in the middle of her forehead, though, so we'll go back to the green screen. There we go. And here is
I have the poem.
Oh, she has the poem. Here is my lovely bride.
I'll scooch over.
Okay,
Hi, I'm Susan. He mentioned old comics and young comics, and he forgot poets.
Oh, yeah, poets. That's right. My wife.
Poet laureate.
Our show's poet laureate.
So the poem, for all our new viewers out there, don't forget to smash the like button.
Oh, that's right.
Hey, the poem serves as a outline with news stories in case they forget what they wanted to talk about. So I either get the headlines from Mark and create a poem, or as typical, he forgets to give me the headlines, and so I find them and write the poem. So here we go. Ready? Trump thinks he should brag and also announce the ex-pres was indicted on 37 counts. And without the writers who are still on strike, the Tony Awards were held last night. Plane crash siblings survived the Colombian jungle. Those kids are amazing despite their loss and great struggle. Ages 1 to 13 rescued after 40 days. Listen, people, you should be completely amazed. The Belmont Stakes race was run. A horse named Archangelo is the pony who won. There's more you should know about this Triple Crown race. Archangelo's trainer's a woman. She put men in their place. And that's your poem.
All right. Thank you, Susan. That's our poem.
I'll be here all week.
Our poem based on the news of the week, and that's always fun. And we can go over some of that stuff. I thought anybody see the Tony? Oh, wait a minute. Let me get my guys back here. Okay. Andy's not here, and we got a note from Sam just before we went on air. He's out tonight. Now, I don't know if that meant he's out for the show, or he's out with his wife, or maybe he's drinking. I don't know. Now, Sam doesn't drink, so that wouldn't be it. But anyway, Sam is not here with us tonight. But we do have in his place Wes Partridge from our Unclub show on Sunday night.
Oh, hey, Wes.
There we go. All right.
You're so
there we go. All right, got him up there.
Mark is so technical.
Oh, I got all three of us now. There we go. So I've got, you know what? I'm going to find a different format here. Let me try this one. Just because there's only three of us tonight. Let me see how this one looks. I guess that's okay. How about the other way? Let me try this one.
All right.
Try all these different formats. Oh, by the way, that's Jason in his car, and that's Wes in his studio. Yeah, I don't like that one either. Let's go here. See
there you go.
What's that? You like
this
man. Oh yeah, this works. Yeah, this works perfect for 3.
I gotta go to Plan B. There.
All right.
All right. Yeah, love the
All right. So it's always open format unless we have a special guest, but we do have a special guest. We have Wes Partridge tonight. Wes is new to the. Wes is a new contributor to the show, but he's been watching the show, trying to get on it for what, 8 weeks now, I think.
I wasn't trying to get on it. I was just listening to it.
Oh, okay.
You know.
I thought because I kept every time I saw you show up, I was trying to get you on.
Yeah.
Well,
I finally figured it out.
Good.
This damn thing, huh?
Good.
Yeah, I find. Yeah, right. My wife hates that hat too.
Anyway, Wes is our newest one-liner contributor to the Southeast Michigan comedy scene, where we're all based. And since Sam isn't here tonight, we'll probably be more based Southeastern Michigan than we usually are. But Wes provides a great source of material, and he's great at the dojos because he always gives us something to work with, and he's also a great contributor too. So it's great to have Wes on our show tonight.
Thank you.
Wes, how are things going with your career? I know you had started. I remember you had started some years ago, and then kind of stopped, and then got back into it.
Yeah, well, I kind of got out of it. I got a different job, and then working 14-hour days, 6 days a week doesn't lend itself to comedy too much. By the time you're done with that 14-hour day, you don't want to do anything. That
was a nice thing about when I started in college. It was like there were times when you had the time and times you didn't have the time, but you were so used to doing everything all at once and then having a gazillion free hours all the time. And really writing, when you're first writing comedy, it is a lot like keeping up with your college homework assignments. You did it when you could, and you always wrote everything. And certainly every college class I took required a term paper, which always meant writing, if you did it right and you were trained properly, like I was because of the high school I went to. I went to a prep school. In the true term of prep, I've heard people call high schools prep schools. There's a difference. A prep school preps you for going to college. But for my last 2 years in high school, I took a typing class. I had to have a term paper for it. They just taught you how to do term papers because they knew you were going to have to do them in college. That's a prep school to me.
You didn't have to wear the jacket and the uniform, right?
I did because I went to a Catholic prep school.
So you were really a preppy.
I don't think I was preppy. I had a great line in my act about it. I said, the thing I liked most about Catholic schools was the thing that most people hated. Most of the guys hated the uniforms, but I came from the poorest family in town. I would have worn the same thing to school every day anyway. This just evened it out for me.
All right. Yeah, it saves money, huh? Yeah. Sure. Well, that was in the days of the government cheese, and
I went to college before government cheese, so.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I might be a little bit older than you think I am.
That was one of the best Allman Brother Band offshoots. Was Government Cheese.
Yeah, Government Cheese came along. Actually, Government Cheese came along right when it should have, because my wife and I graduated college and got married a month later to the day of our graduation. And I was a stand-up comic, and she was a waitress in a comedy club, and that was our competition every weekend was who was going to make more money. Was I?
You know what? You should use that in a bit. I remember our anniversary because Government Cheese came out at the same time.
I like that. That's funny,
man. Government Cheese. That's amazing that you would even remember that. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh. That's funny.
Anyway, so we had our show last night. I kind of want to go over this list here. Trump's indictment. Jason, we can always count on you on the right. We can always count on you on the right of everyone else answer.
Which means I only need to be to the right of Trotsky. I mean, you know, that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say about it. I mean, you know, the guy has skyscrapers full of lawyers, or he can afford skyscraper full of lawyers.
Well,
I'm not worried about it.
Did you hear the story now that he can't find a firm to represent him in Florida?
Right.
Well,
nobody's biting at that hook. No.
Well, yeah. Look. Is there money involved? Are there lawyers? They'll find a lawyer.
Yeah, but they have a credibility issue too.
Yes, lawyers have long had a credibility issue. So
well, so did Hillary Clinton. Didn't stop anybody from representing her. I mean, let's not forget that she had a server with.
Oh no! Wait a minute. There's a big difference. There's a big difference between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and here it is.
Yeah, don't let me finish making my point, Mark. Go ahead.
Here is the difference. Actually, you could put anybody in it. You could say Hillary. You could say Mark Sweetman. You could say anybody. Here is the difference between fill in the blank and Donald Trump.
Yeah,
fill in the blank keeps their goddamn fucking mouth shut.
Well, except for Anthony Weiner having copies of said documents and precipitating the reopening of the investigation, 5 days before the 2016 election?
You're talking about Comey?
No, well, I'm talking about Hillary Clinton finding out that while she did bleach the servers and she did smash the phones, which she did do, and then, of course, though, they found that on the pervert husband of her top aide, Anthony Weiner, which, by the way, I happen to have a full-size poster of at my house because he's kind of my spirit animal. And that's when Comey had to come out and reopen the investigation, a week before the election. And if we want to get bogged down into details, it all comes down to the question of malum in se versus malum prohibitum, which is to say the guilty mind versus a strict interpretation. The difference is when you take something, you intend to steal it, versus when you go past the speed limit, you broke the law. So Comey redefined this as a type of act that actually required intent, even though the statute does not require intent. But that was that was his analysis when he closed the case on Hillary and said, we're not going to recommend any kind of prosecution because no prosecutor will take this case. This gives Trump the argument that this is asymmetric prosecution or selective prosecution. And if you can establish selective prosecution, that does become a defense. Let's bear in mind that I believe this is under the Espionage Act, which really wasn't used very much at all until Barack Obama resurrected and used it against several of his enemies who were, who were they? There's a couple of journalists. I think one of them who ended up dead. Michael Hastings was a good example. That's the one whose car all of a sudden kind of had a mind of its own and ended up running against a tree. And, but again, I'm not going to worry about it too terrible much. This is banana republic politics. This is the road we're going to go down. The good news is I'm going to be dead sooner rather than later, so I don't give a fuck anymore. If this is what y'all want Potato Joe for another 4 years, I hope you get him. I mean, in fact, let me tell you something. The way things are going, I don't care who the Republicans can run. You've heard the expression a yellow dog, they can run a yellow dog, we'll vote for him. I don't care who they pick. I might change party affiliations just to vote for Robert Kennedy Jr. because he's showing some momentum. And my sort of position is more or less a troll. Kind of says, you know what, this would actually be a way to really throw a spanner in the works, because this also tells you that Biden's support is a mile wide but an inch deep. And quite frankly, the oligarchs that are running the Democrat Party ought to have found a way to off this SOB. And I don't mean physically, I mean move him out of the way and then put in someone who might actually be competent. The guy's been falling over. Did you see his speech at what was it, the Naval Academy or the Air Force Academy, where he fell over, he tripped on someone's shadow, and they had to help him up? Yeah.
Hell, I've done that at the Young Club.
I know, but you're not president. I've tripped on a few things too. Usually a couple hits of white blotter acid, and had a great time doing it. Exactly. I mean, just because I was found giving myself, body paint in front of an elementary school, which back in the day was controversial, now it's a pride event. So,
Ah!
yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, that's one of the things on my bucket list is to serve.
You want to paint me naked in front of killed children?
No, not that thing. But
Well, I was about to, I got $20 in a brush.
Man, me and the old lady went body painting one time, but we had to bring our own rollers.
You see, you should use that one. That's good.
That's a good joke. That's a good one. What's great about that? What's great about that is the punchline's in the setup. I mean that is a pure
That's a
joke.
great one. Write that one down, man. That should be on stage next week, man. Because that's good.
Well, I used that one at that Navio place that I used to go to on Thursdays, Mark. Remember that place that didn't quite pan out in Livonia, that Navio?
Did you talk to who went there last week was she was at the Lawn Club last night. Erica went there.
Yeah, she said there was actually a couple people there and comics, and
she thinks we should talk to them about doing the dojo there.
Whatever. Possible. I would still think that at a certain point you might want to talk to somebody over there at Ribley's or maybe even Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase, because you could select, I don't know, 7 to 10 comedians. I mean, even run some competitions as you see fit. Well, and
the last time I put on a show at the Comedy Castle, it was with Chili, and it was the Funny Over 50 show. We had a bunch of comics who were, and I guess at the time I was like 53 or something. So, and then the summer before the pandemic, Roger gave me one Thursday a month, June, July, and August during the summertime.
Nice.
And we did our auditions for the TV for Zach.
Zach show.
We did auditions for the Zach show at the comedy showcase on 4th Street.
Yep.
And we ran it like an open mic. But we had one of Zach's studio cameras there to record it, and then we would go over at the next production meeting. We would go over and decide who we were going to invite for the TV show, and that worked great because the next 6 months we had great guests, and then pandemic.
Again, this is what happens when we decide we want to offshore our illegal chemical biological warfare research to shady third world nations, and there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Got our money worth. Hey, how about that I-95 mix-up out there on the East Coast?
We just had that looks exactly like the one we had on I-75 and 9 Mile here.
But don't worry. Good news.
Right.
Good news, because 10 days ago we voted another $300 million worth of weapons to the Ukraine, and then 5 days ago, and remember this is with Republican help. This is Lindsey Graham got his fingers on this. Another $3.5 billion to the Ukraine.
Oh, sorry I'm so late, guys.
Andy's back.
Well, is this Ukraine thing becoming like a Vietnam where we're fighting a proxy war?
What do you mean becoming? What do you mean becoming?
I mean, is it becoming a Vietnam where it's like a proxy war? All right.
It is. You notice the Russians can't win? You notice the Ukrainians can't win? Has that occurred to anybody yet? And by the way, we're grinding up people at a horrific rate. It's estimated that 125,000 human beings are dead because of this conflict. And no one is saying anything about turn this goddamn thing off.
Well,
and yet there's another Kennedy running for president. So let's hope Sirhan III doesn't have a gun permit, and we can I know it's a bad Kennedy assassination joke, and no one gets it. But
I get it.
This crowd might.
I get it.
I remember.
Is he Mr. Dark and Moody? Is that what's going on here?
That is Mr.
Absolute dark and moody. Everything's dead.
No, we need.
What
do you need? No. What Jason needs is a sidekick, and name him.
Sam's not here.
And name him Dark, and then they all come out and they kind of shuffle onto stage, and I'm Mr. Dark, Jason goes, I'm Mr. Moody. I'm Mr. Duck. I'm Mr. Moody, Mr. Duck and Moody, Duck and Moody.
Somehow
Then they do,
I can
then they
see
do a
that.
line.
Something like Gene Wilder in putting on the Ritz with the Frankenstein
Yes,
monster
yes,
and
yes.
Young Frankenstein. Although it'll be
Mr. Dark
hard.
and Moody. Yeah, I was like, yeah, it was that line is like he likes his men like his coffee
Hot,
dark
black,
and
and strong.
black and murky. There we go.
Hot, black,
Yeah.
and strong. Yeah, actually, I like them nylon smooth, so that leaves all three of you out. None of you in the room.
Did you attend the gay pride thing there, young man?
Me? I don't think you did see the picture that I put up there. And by the way, that's a real picture. That's not a meme of the Gay Pride Parade in, I believe, Washington, D.C., sponsored by Lockheed Martin.
Ah,
So,
That's good.
Yeah, there you go. That should tell you everything you need to know, because you know, my late mother, who was an unreconstructed FDR newt dealer. This woman was as Democrat as it got. By the end of her life, she was totally disillusioned and completely in the camp of of anarchy. I mean, she was sick and tired of the bullshit, and felt that no matter who you voted for, you kind of got the same old thing or a warmed over version of it.
Okay.
And strangely enough, you know, I am the disappointment of her life. She used to look at me and just utterly seethe at how a Republican sprang from her loins. That's what she used to say to me as she was serving me pie or something. It's like, here you go, have this.
but you're really what happens in extremes. You know, when it was an extreme liberal, they always put out the kid comes up extremely conservative.
So Jason,
yes,
so
sir.
Jason,
You're just a letter in the sense of psychology. You're just a psychological trope.
Andy, let the guest talk. My goodness, go ahead.
No, so Jason, when you were born, did your mother keep slapping you repeatedly?
No, but she did, because she was a hillbilly woman, so she did used to do this little trick. She would tell us to come down the hall, hurry, and we'd come running down the hallway. She'd stick her foot out from behind the door and trip us. Then she would just loom over us, look at me, and go, "And you're the one that I like," and then just turn around and walk away. As I'm sprawled in the hallway, wondering what the hell just happened. She was a woman in the 70s trying to raise 3 teenage boys. So for that alone, the lady deserves a Nobel Prize. I mean, that she didn't kill us is again.
My mother raised four boys in the 70s.
There you go.
And she always had that permanent scowl on her face.
Yes.
You know?
Oh yeah. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. It's what you have to do. Raising boys, it's like raising wild boar or something. Except wild boar have better hygiene.
Raising girls are worse. I hear raising girls are worse.
I don't know. I've never raised a girl. I've only dressed like one, but I'm not sure that's the same thing.
I don't think so.
No, I mean, I don't see it as the same thing. I mean, nowadays they say it is, but you know, back then I just needed extra money for cable. So, you know, judge away. I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of cable, I'm about to lose our Netflix, right?
Oh, well, there you go. You're not missing much. Andy, it looks like you've got a halo.
Well, you know, I've been trying to live a good life. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, it's starting to come through. You know, this is my audition for the return of Angel and you know.
So you're becoming beatified now.
Yes.
I think Mark's trying to make shadow figures.
Well, either that or he's going to start projecting little bunny figures on the back of the screen there.
I'm not quite sure what that means, but let me see.
I think it's peace out. Peace out.
Yeah, that or either that or he's going to drop one of the fingers and it's not going to be peace at that point. It's going to be something else. Yeah, there you go.
All number one. Yeah, I used to, I drove a truck for many years, and I used to get called number one quite a bit. Actually.
I used to hang out with truck drivers, but again, it was the 70s, and my Boy Scout uniform still fit. So
and that was your hitchhiking outfit. That's how you got, rides.
No, I just find a good rest stop. I mean, why should I leave? I'm good.
Ah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm right there on I-94.
That was you.
Right.
You know what? Yeah.
All right, now I got a quiz for you guys. I got a quiz for you
still
guys.
owe me $1, pal.
Okay.
Don't think I forgot.
right.
I got a quiz for you guys.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I got this from the NPR. The NPR, it's like an NPR from the National Public Radio. This is the breakdown of all the trans pronouns.
Oh,
So I'm gonna throw out a couple of words for you and to see what you can, if you know what they are. Okay.
Okay.
I'll fail.
All right.
Sure.
Cisgender.
Normal.
What is it?
The cisgender is when
Gender.
is when you are it's an acronym for something, right?
It's
Yeah,
an
it's
invented,
cisgender.
made-up
Okay, so-
word in order to promote. There's this ridiculous gender ideology that is a
This-
cancer that is growing in America and needs to be removed with a blowtorch.
This gender, that gender, I don't care.
As
Well,
long as it gets-
Michael, Mark, are cisgender. We're
Yes.
Oh,
cisgender.
cisgender.
cis.
Cis.
yes.
Cis,
and
not a cis.
cis. What does the
It's-
letter CIS stand
CIS.
Yeah, it stands for something, and pay no attention to it.
for?
Right.
Screw it.
There you
I got
go.
my phone. I'm going to look it up.
Oh,
Like
Okay,
it
know.
up.
so
Hey,
Mark
you see
is
what
the official
see what I
go-to
quickly-
guy.
you
You're
see that I
back
quickly
there now.
added Andy's quiz time at the scroll at the bottom? Pretty technical, huh? Yeah, how about that? I did something technical. Hey.
Okay, Andy. Move
Hold
on
on.
to
I'm
the
looking
next.
up what the letter cis means.
It's educational. too.
cis.
What is it?
Well, the next one is transgender, or simply trans.
Oh, that means a person who wants to become a mutant slave, a perpetual patient to the surgical, pharmacological, industrial complex. So
Yeah,
that they
that's a
can,
more complex thing that we're looking for. But
so they can
whose
be
gender identity-
sterilized.
I thought it was something else. I thought it was like Burt Reynolds and Sally Field in Smokey and the Bandit.
yeah, but the
Who
Trans
wouldn't
Am.
want to
That's
see that?
that's a
that
Trans Am.
movie?
Yeah, I think that's pretty close.
You know, you're right. I think you're right. Wesley wins that one. He's good.
Ah.
He's got it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an adjective to describe someone whose gender identity differs from the sex assigned at birth.
Ah.
Sex
Assigned.
isn't assigned at birth.
Assigned.
Assigned at birth.
A sex is simply identified because you're either one or the other. There's only two sexes. We've been that way for about 30 million years.
Okay, so here's the other one. Non-binary.
That means someone
you don't
who doesn't
identify.
like to be
You don't
binded.
identify with any gender.
That's
Yeah,
right.
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 All right.
Okay,
Is
in
a
other words,
term used by people
wait
who
a
do not describe.
You don't identify with any biological gender.
which
Exactly.
means
What else
you're
is
an
there?
asexual loser that I have no problem wiping my backside with.
Yes. Okay. So it's a term that can be used by people who do not describe themselves or their gender as fitting into the categories of man or woman.
Oh,
I know
Range-
they are one or the
I
other.
thought that was
Terms
a
used to
Star
refer to the
Trek
experience
Next
non-binary,
Generation term.
genderqueer are among the terms that are sometimes used.
In other words, it's a cobweb clam.
Yeah, that might work. I guess I'm not sure. Now here's one that is kind of interesting. What does agender mean?
Well, when you put a in front of
That
a
would
word like
be-
that, it becomes a negation.
Okay. Our agender is an adjective that can describe a person who does not identify as any gender.
Yes, a negation. That's why we
Yeah,
use
Yeah,
a.
like
in-
like asexual
yes.
or
Yes.
amoral.
And believe you me, there is no greater gulf than that which exists between a raging homosexual and the asexual populace. There is a Grand Canyon-sized gulf between those two things, which is why I do not identify with any of these fucking mutants. They
Okay.
can all kiss my ass.
All right. So, all right. Here's another
Just
word.
so I can be clear.
That's good. I think you're very, very clear. That's.
I like being.
Do we all say that Jason's being very clear about this?
I'm
Okay.
All right,
trying.
are you guys ready? Are you guys? I got
Ready?
your I got your
I'm ready.
cisgender answer right here.
All right.
Google.
Right here.
Okay.
Go. Go.
All right. Cis is a word-forming element meaning on the side of or near the side of. It's from the Latin preposition cis, that means on the side, in reference to either time or place. It's related to citra, the adverb of on the side. Is suffix to the root form of co, the stem of the demonstrative pronoun meaning this, opposed to trans or ultra. Originally only a place sometime in the 19th century of life situations such as cisgender, which is which began being used in 2011. So cis is an old Latin prefix, which meant on the side.
Which is being misused in this context.
How is that spelled?
Aren't they all misused?
Unless you think of the male genitalia as on the side,
It's like when they say homophobic. When they say homophobic, that's misused because phobia is a fear.
It's an irrational fear.
They use phobic to mean hatred.
Fear. Right.
Yeah. Well, they use phobic to mean hatred.
See, I have no irrational fear, but I am filled with hatred, obviously.
Saw a great T-shirt. I saw a great T-shirt at the Redford Theater this week, and it says, it said, "I'm straight," and then below it says, "But I don't hate."
I'm a Peter Puffer, and I don't like much of anybody.
All right, so here's the other word: gender expansive.
That sounds like my wife's ass.
That means that means the wardrobe in your. That means the wardrobe in your closet is 5 times larger than it should be.
Yeah,
no,
right.
In other words, no, honey, that looks just fine on you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say those are all right responses. Those are all correct responses.
Those are all correct responses. Thank you. Quiz time with Andy. Go on, Andy. Get one more here.
One more? Okay.
Yes. What is the flight speed of an unladen swallow?
European?
African or European?
African or European.
All right, here's one for you. Gender dysphoria.
Oh, that's when you don't have the gender that you are. What is it? You're not living the gender that you should be living, right?
Incongruous, yes. Further psychological distress that results from an incongruity between one's sex assigned at birth and one's gender identity. Yeah.
That's why, like, when someone has anorexia and they see their 22-pound self looking in the mirror and they see Mama Cass Elliot in a bikini, that's why you really want to tell them, listen, honey, here's the good news. If we get you some liposuction, then you finally might be worthy of love.
You don't need any of that. You know what I did? I got some surplus Carnival mirrors. I installed the skinny one on the ceiling in the bedroom.
Okay.
So she wouldn't look at herself naked and think, "Oh, I'm too fat. I got to cover up," and we wouldn't have sex. But then in the morning, she'd go in the bathroom and where I installed the fat one and think she's got to go on a diet.
There you go.
Well, I'm just saying.
All I have to say to that is, Joan and Minchie were getting kind of bitchy. Just leave it
behind. Yeah.
All right. Well, Eddie,
on the line. In the club where Sebastian sat, and after every number, they passed the hat. McGuinn and McGuire couldn't get McGuire, but that's what they were paying, man.
That's where it's at.
Damn, we're all gonna sing now. Okay.
And nobody's getting fat except Mama Cass.
Mama Cass.
There you go. Great tune. Great tune.
He didn't choke on a ham sandwich.
No, well, I've choked on a lot of things.
Disgusted. Agents can't be trusted.
All right. Well, I guess that's the end of my quiz.
Oh dear, it's time for Andy's.
I am saving the crawl ticker for the next time Andy has a quiz. So I'm putting that in the file. There we go.
Andy's quiz.
Andy's quiz time.
There you go. All right.
I should create another one that says Jason's rant time.
There you go.
Which reminds me, I really want to. I was at the gym a couple of days ago, and I'm going. I haven't ranted in a while. Not in a and I went on an impromptu rant in the sauna. The other day, right there. The steam fill the steam room, not the sauna is the other place. That's the dry place. The steam room is it, and I didn't mean to do it, but I started going on one of my rants about how much I hated the old people, and there was like these couple of younger guys I could tell by because they were laughing, and like 3 old dudes got up and left. when I'm like, it's about time they get out of here. Can't we just go over to Grandpa's place, smother him with a fucking pillow, and divide up what's left? I mean, half these guys. I mean, what are they doing here anyways? What, did the cemetery close? I mean, they look like Keith Richards' lighting double. I just kept going on in that vein. I couldn't help myself. And it's like, okay, some people do appreciate that humor. Others maybe not so much. And I do have a mirror. I'm not using the fat or the skinny one, although I am coming over to your house, Wesley. I'll be over there later on today. I've got this halter top and Speedo outfit that I want to check out.
Oh, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
You might have the same size boobs as my old lady, but
I probably. I mean, just mine don't sag quite so much these days.
Well, she just had her boobs done, so they're so big now. We call her cleavage Silicon Valley. So
another one that should be on stage, man. Come on.
That one was last night. So.
There you go, man. Well, see, I built these boobs natural. I went to the Dairy Queen.
Yes.
And they fixed. They fixed.
So they are filled with milk products, is what you're saying.
Okay. pretty much, yeah. Non-dairy products, but they've done the job for me. No, I need to get back to it, man. I need to write some new material. Like Wes, you were saying, after a 14-hour day, you're just run down. And it is one of the things that just drives me nuts about all this. I mean, Andy, you understand it. You do the same job I do. Not anywhere near as well as I do, but you still.
I don't know, Jason. You're always like out of money, and you're working all the time. So I'm kind of like, what is happening here? What?
I'm spending it on Rent Boys.
Yeah. Okay. I guess.
Does that make sense? I know what I look like naked, so I mean. To get the sort of the thing that I'm after, I have to be generous, quote unquote. Jen, are you Jen? They're not asking if I'm Jenny. It's a contraction that means will I part with some cash? That's sort of what's going on. Sorry, you guys have to hear this, but this is Pride Month, so there are no secrets anymore. It's all out of the closet and vomiting right all over the streets and anywhere else we can put it. I hope you guys are happy. This was not my idea, by the way. I like this stuff being creepy, unmentionable, the sort of thing that goes on between disreputable clergy and nefarious victims and whatnot. But there you go. There you go. So yes, Andy, that's what I'm doing with the money.
Okay.
But seriously, as well as I do, there was a time you could do this job 5-6 hours.
Yeah.
And make reasonable money, a little bit of something, get by.
Yeah. Right now, you feel like you have to be out there all the time.
All the fucking time, day in, day out.
And it's not anywhere near what we were getting paid back in the early days. So.
But Mr. Bezos has not one yacht, but he has a chase yacht for his big yacht. Because you can only imagine what it's like to be Jeff Bezos and you get woke up from the middle of your nap because the helicopter had to come over because you ran out of saltines.
I wish you understand my relationship with Jeff Bezos. So I was working at Walden Books. I was working at Walden Books.
Yes, there you go.
Back in the 80s. And he was always over there just, creating this little Amazon thing. We're going to, what is this guy doing? It's like, it seems to be interfering with this stuff. He hasn't made a dime. The guy hasn't made a dime in 5 years.
He's a loser.
He's a loser. He doesn't have Walden Books. He doesn't have us.
Look at that. I mean, does he know what a book even looks like? What does he do?
Yeah, we can bring the books in 5 days. How is he going to make it any different than that?
You're right. I mean, his wife doesn't even like him. She's thinking about divorcing him. So yeah, that's how it all goes. I mean, so again, so if I'm your super right-wing conservative Republican, and here I am ready to light the torch, get the pitchfork, first, I'm going to stop somewhere and get some ice cream, help you get the boobs and shit.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Here's what I got for Andy. So Andy can come by next week and every week with his quiz, and we've got Andy's quiz time. Okay. Now, all right. Let's get rid of that one. And now, when Jason goes into a rant. I've got when Jason goes into a rant, I've got
Yeah.
Are you gonna? Hey, Mark, are you gonna do like open mic? Are you gonna light Jason when his time is up, or?
No, we just let it, as long as we got the banner, as long as we got the scrolling banner line there.
Unlike
No, wait a minute.
Steven,
I'm kind of pushing Wes in a certain direction. So here's the one I've made. Here's the one I've made for Wes.
You made one for me.
I've already made one for you. Yeah,
Wes
I
is
think you'll
away
like. I think
again.
you'll like this one.
Away again, and I
One-linerville.
Oh, one-liner.
Wesley's away again in One-linerville.
Oh, I see.
There you
Wesley's
Kind of like
away again.
wasted away again in Margaritaville. This is Wesley's away again.
Wait,
Here's one. All right, here's the one I did for Sammy. Here's the one I did for Sammy. I think you'll guys will like this one.
Somebody else I know. What's Sam doing? Isn't he doing that benefit tonight for the Black Hebrew Israelites, or is that someone else?
That might be what he's. That might be why he's away. I don't
know.
I got you.
Or somebody else he knows.
There's somebody else I know. Yeah.
He seems to know everybody.
Well, I have to hold you to the fire, Mark. I did not know you knew. What's his name? God, can't think of it now.
Well, while you're thinking about that, I got to say this: Pat Cooper passed away.
Oh, that's right. My wife didn't have it in her. My wife didn't have it in her poem.
I can't believe and he was.
I listened. Cooper? Enlighten me.
Pat Cooper. It's hard. How would you guys? I mean, sort of like one of the original renegade comedians, maybe. He started out opening for Stephen Eady
and at the same time, Jackie Mason got more publicity for it because it looked like he fingered Ed Sullivan. Remember? Yeah. But at the same time, Pat Cooper was bitching up a storm about the treatment he was getting.
Yeah, I mean, beyond when Sam, we'll let Sam really kind of run with this because he'll put his usual flavor on it as only Sam can do. But Pat Cooper was again sort of like Don Rickles without the grace or the courtesy that Don was renowned for, and basically
Pat Cooper. You got to remember, Pat Cooper was Italian.
Yes, Pasquale
Pasquale Pacuda. Yes, Pasquale Pacuda.
Okay.
Pasquale Pacuda became Pat Cooper. He anglicized his name.
Yes,
but when he started, he really. It was like, have you ever seen black comics that can't work white audiences because they've worked black audiences their whole career and they just they can't cross over? He was like that with Italians. And so when he got management that allowed him to cross over, the thing that made him noticeable was that he was Don Rickles without the warmth, without the tact. You know what I mean?
Without the warmth.
And so there wasn't anybody out there, but he had that Italian base, and that's what his live shows were. So we saw him on Mike Douglas being a dickhead, but it didn't matter. He's still going to go to these towns that have a large Italian base, and he was going to, sell out.
Right.
But he never. The other thing to his credit was he was never a mob Italian. There were a lot of guys that wouldn't have made it without their mob help.
Right.
And that part of it is being Pat Cooper.
And he antagonized.
He wasn't recognized as Italian all the time. None of the stuff that a lot of people saw Pat Cooper do was Italian. And he only did the Italian stuff. He spoke Italian in a lot of his shows, because he grew up Italian.
And so he was acerbic and abrasive. And it's like, hot Thai food. You have to have sort of a taste for it. It's not the kind of thing you're going to serve to the kids for Sunday brunch with Aunt Millie coming over.
Well, when was his heyday? Why haven't I
From
heard
maybe the late 60s, early 70s into the 90s?
I tell you, he was one of the guys that bitched about all the comics headlining.
He'd be on Tough Crowd, though. He was on Tough Crowd several times.
He had to go there. He had to go there sometime.
Yeah.
But he was really probably his peak was like 72, and in 73 is when the Comedy Store and the Improv and all those places started taking off, and comics became headliners. Well, he grew up in a time when if you were a headliner, you were like an offshoot.
Yeah.
You opened for Frank Sinatra. You opened for Frank Sinatra at Olympia, right? The next time you came to Detroit, you played some supper club. because you were the headliner. You didn't headline Olympia. You headlined the Supper Club. It was
but you didn't play the comedy club.
You didn't play none of those guys plays the comedy club.
Right.
The only guy who played a comedy club was the guy who started his own. That was Sammy Shore.
Well, Mark, you tell me, wasn't David Brenner sort of someone who kind of broke that a little? Because I remember Brenner, being a guy who would be in that sort of mold, playing the Supper Club, whatever, and then playing
the guy who broke
into the comedy clubs.
To tell you the truth, the guy who broke the mold was Bud Friedman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because Bud Friedman was the first guy to put the comedian not in the supporting role or the warm-up act. He put the comedian as this is the star of my show.
Oh, really?
And that was in '63. And so a lot of people think that what crossed everyone, and Lenny Bruce was around in '63 still, and he was starting to headline. And George Carlin was working with Burns. Carlin and Burns became Burns and Shriver later.
Right. Did Bud start bringing in black acts like Richard Pryor?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he brought in black acts, and
did he bring in people like Red Fox?
Now Jimmy Walker was he didn't get credit for Jimmy Walker because he kind of didn't think he was that great. But when Mitzi saw him out at the Comedy Store in L.A., that's when he took off.
Well, Jimmy Walker only had one bit. It was all built up to his tagline, which he'd shout. That was sort of it for him.
Now I've worked with Jimmy Walker 3 times, and we become closer each time we work together.
Right.
And that was written for him by Norman Lear's writers. That Dynamite line that he became known for.
The kid Dynamite.
He had a full headline act before he got that show. And he goes, in many ways, it threw his stand-up back 20 to 30 years because he had to go back and reestablish himself as a stand-up because everybody would go to the shows and want Dynamite.
Right, exactly.
That's all I knew him for. Right.
Whereas I always liked, in terms of black comedy, it was somewhere between Red Fox and Franklin Ajaye. Because Franklin Ajaye was always so, he called him the jazz comedian because he was so subtle, and I think maybe a little stoned too. But I mean, though.
He's actually a musician too, so he had a lot of jazz in him when he was. The one bit he used to do that I loved that made you say he was a jazz comic. This proves it. He did a thing about the People's Court that just slayed me. He said, the best gig, the best big gig in showbiz, People's Court. And he goes, I'm not talking about Judge Wapner. I'm not talking about Rusty the Bailiff. I'm talking about the People's Court Band. Every show. All right, hit it, guys. Da da da. All right, that's a wrap. Easiest job in show business.
Damn, they're good. Yeah. Well,
who's doing People's Court now,
right?
I love that line.
You know who's doing People's Court now, right?
Steve Harvey.
Really?
Steve Harvey.
There we go.
Speaking of Franklin Ajaye, he's one of the first albums I got of the younger comics. You know what I mean? Because I had I had the Cosby and the Bob Newhart and the Mort Saul.
Do you remember when Richard Pryor's album started coming out in the early '70s? And now they had titles that are now unrepeatable. You remember, don't you?
Who's that?
Richard Pryor. When his album started coming out in the early 1970s, again with titles that are now unrepeatable.
Yeah, and the thing about he was still here's the thing about Richard Pryor. He was very delicate. He was very masterful in sort of playing both sides. Because you know who was killing it when Richard Pryor was still trying to make it was Red Fox. And Red Fox won because nobody would give him a record contract. He pressed his own records and sold them at his shows. Yeah. And so there were, and in my neighborhood my pearly white suburban neighborhood of Waterford, Michigan, clearly 17 miles out of Detroit,
Yeah.
We every house had a Red Fox record.
Yeah, I grew up with Red
And
Fox.
when you were in junior high, you snuck into your basement and you got your
snuck into your parents'
your
room
parents,
and you
you
played.
snuck your parents Richard
Yeah.
Red Fox records, and they didn't know who Richard Pryor was yet, but they knew who Red Fox was.
Yeah, well, he was sort of the last one to come out of. Again, you talk about someone who's sort of a bridge between the old style comedian and the new sort of comedy, because comedy changed. It was not the same late '60s, early '70s as it had been. You know, you go back and you look at the Borscht Belt, sort of the Jewish New York comedian that we saw on television.
Well, everyone I talked to says the bridge more than Pryor and Lenny Bruce and George Carlin. The bridge was really Robert Klein. Robert Klein
is there.
Robert Klein was probably the first guy that did the autobiographical monologue.
Yeah, but what about Dick Gregory, though? Because he was the one who was breaking the fourth wall with white audiences.
That's true.
And talking directly to white audiences, where before it had always been almost a minstrelsy sort of approach where you didn't talk to the audience directly. You sort of made asides, if you will, and certain observations. Whereas Dick Gregory came straight at you. I mean, Robert Klein did too. When Robert Klein was talking about in one interview, he's there with Fred Willard at some place like doing auditioning for an improv. And I think Andy, you saw the same interview. And then 2 years later, he has his own summer replacement show on CBS, which tells you something about the talent that dude had. That you're able to go from fresh college graduate doing improv to network. Yeah, I mean, at that point, how many network shows? The 3 networks. How many shows are you going to get out of that? I mean, Klein was an amazing talent.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was watching. I don't know if it was Freevee or Pluto or one of those.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's so much. If you know how to look for it, or if you know how to search that stuff, you can find some great stuff. So I watched the first season of Laugh-In.
Oh my God!
All right, you ready? Here's two people that were on the first season of Laugh-In that surprised me. One made sense. One was like, what? And the first one is
Nixon.
No, the first season of Laugh-In featured Flip Wilson.
Yep.
Oh wow.
And I guess I wasn't old enough to watch that. Guess who else was on there? Barbara Feldon.
Yes, I remember.
Agent 99. Agent 99 was on Laugh-In before she was on Get Smart. That just stunned me.
Wow. Man.
And she's no longer with us, if memory serves. Is that
Barbara
correct?
Feldon? No, Barbara Feldon is with us. She just got interviewed by my friend Vicky Abelson. Yeah, I'll send you the clip. She's like 92 now. She just got interviewed.
She's got to be old.
She's 92. Barbara Eden's 93. They both look great in their 90s.
Well,
I mean, honest to God. I mean, they were good looking in the 60s, and now 70 years later, they still look great. Honest.
Well, they got so much plastic in them. They're not going to be able to be buried. They're going to have to be recycled.
You know what? When you're 40 and trying to look 20, I don't go for that. But if you're 90 and trying to stay alive, I'm all for it.
We'll see how. Yeah. We've all passed the 20-year-old threshold now, and we're all past the 40 threshold now. And
well, now we're going to the cyborg threshold.
Yeah,
we're all going to be
cyborgs
pretty soon.
Well, don't worry. Elon Musk will find a way to resurrect the dead, but just long enough to pull oars on the ship up the shore in Green Bay. That was yes, I can resurrect the dead, and then you're just gonna go up for reprocessing. That'll be it.
I'm debating something. I'm going to ask you guys' opinion. We only got 6 minutes left. But anyway, Smokey Robinson is coming to the Fox Theater August 5th.
Oh, fantastic!
Nice.
I'm thinking this may be the last time to see him in his element. The Fox Theater is where he played when he was a teenager. Wow. You know what I mean? When they used to have those reviews, those Motown reviews.
If you got a chance to see Smokey Robinson, you take it.
So how fitting then?
All right, I'll do it. It's $120. I think I'll do it.
So what? You'll make. There's more money to be had. There's only one Smokey Robinson.
There's only one Smokey, and he's in his 80s. He's not going to be around much longer. You're right. I should do it.
You can't take it with you. You might as well just pay for the experience.
No, I want to see it burned in front of the people who would have inherited it. They can watch it and just go up in flames. Fuck you, cry. You know,
So we're back to darkness. Okay, so
we're back to the darkness. That's right.
we're back
But,
to the dark.
Tears of a Clown. Tears of a Clown
Tears of a
is like
Clown.
that's like one of the best heavy metal songs to come out of Motown. And recently, someone has re-recorded it as a heavy, not heavy metal, but as a heavy rock song. And Smokey is singing with the other. It's great.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Because-
Hey, you know who else is singing great? I saw a clip of him like in his late 80s is Tom Jones.
Oh yeah,
Tom Jones.
Tom-
Tom Jones, Cher are going to live to be what 10,000 each.
But they're still in good voice. That's the
Yeah.
amazing thing.
it's not unusual to
True.
go out at any time.
Do you remember when people were shocked to find out that Tom Jones was white?
Yeah, you still see that. I
Yeah.
watched some of those reaction videos to the music, you know, and yeah, so the first time
I
somebody
remember
listened to it, oh
Rod-
my
Rod-
God, I thought he
Rod
was black.
Stewart was talking about how the first when he heard Tom Jones and someone told him he was white, he's like, "What? Get out of here! No way!"
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so yeah, if you got, yeah,
He was more than white. He's Welsh.
yeah, about to say.
He's Welsh.
They
That's
say,
right. He's Welsh.
according to the women, they say he was quite hung too. So
Thunderball. Yeah.
Oh, God,
that's
boy, he
what
did a good. Although the best track ever though was Shirley Bassey in Goldfinger. That's got to be the best James Bond theme ever.
Oh, by the way, Goldfinger is at the Redford Theater this summer. The 35
Really?
The 35 35 millimeter print of Goldfinger is being played at the.
Oh,
I
my
can't-
God.
well, wait, I might have it with me here. Hold on. What did I do?
Wow. Cool.
No, I
What,
left
you
it-
might have the 35 millimeter with you?
I must have- no, the flyer that I picked up. Susan and I went to see Back to the Future there on Saturday.
Oh. Cool.
That's the only movies we go to anymore. We've been to 4 movies all year, and it's only at the Redford Theater, and it's usually some classic. We saw Training Day with Denzel Washington back in January.
Amazing movie. Denzel Washington plays a monster in that
Yeah.
movie so well.
It was great. What else did we see there? We saw a Rocky Horror-esque version of Princess Bride, where the actors played out the parts of the Princess Bride while the movie was playing. Remember how they used to do that? Remember how they used to do that for Rocky Horror?
Oh
Yeah.
we used
Very
to
nice
go
of
to
the
those
thing.
midnight shows. Yeah.
Now, you know what? There's a great movie. Now, you think of all the films that they've turned into musicals. That Princess Bride, that'd be perfect
It would. Yeah.
for a musical. It's a perfect story for the type of thing where you want to add songs and dancing and stuff.
Right.
God.
No, the
Well,
baby-
my bucket list is to get out to the Hollywood Forever Cemetery when I believe it's every Halloween. Dana Gould and friends of his get together and put on a live production of Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh.
That's great.
That would be, that would be my idea of heaven.
Hey,
Well,
what?
Dana Gould also does Dr. Zayas.
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
Mark.
Yes.
When is the Redford Theater going to play "It's a Wonderful Life" so Andy can go and
Yeah. Well, maybe soon. I don't know.
You know, they do It's a Wonderful Life every Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I'm busy at times. I might be going to California this time. I don't know.
Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, every year the Redford Theater plays nothing but Christmas films.
Oh, that's right. Jim Gaffigan. You didn't tell me you knew Jim Gaffigan. I spent so
Jim
much
Gaffigan,
money getting tickets.
I talked to him the other day.
I spent so much money getting tickets. You could have gotten me free tickets for crying out loud. Come on.
All right, I don't know him that well.
Okay.
Jim's very funny. But anyway, he's another comic with a ton of kids.
how many?
Yeah.
Ton of kids.
Everybody got kids.
Are we including the ones in the basement like mine, or never mind? No, I'm sorry. I said that.
different kind of having kids, Jason. Different
Oh,
kind.
okay. All right. All right. Hey, I didn't tell them to sell candy in my neighborhood. Okay, not my fault. You knocked.
I want to
on the door.
recommend Dr. Z with a guy who does Dr. Zayas.
Yeah.
The guy who does the planet thing. He's doing Dr. Zayas. Something to watch is Dr. Z.
Dana Gould.
All right,
well, the music means we're done. Wesley, you've never been on the show here before. We stick around until I close this thing down, and then we talk a little bit about the production. So stay with us, Wesley.
Right.
For everybody else, we're leaving the live broadcast now. It'll be up here on YouTube until next week. If you've been with us this long for the show, please click the like button and subscribe to my page so that you know when all the shows are coming up. And that's our show for the week. Thanks for joining us on the off night. We'll see you next Monday at 8 o'clock. Good night, everybody.
Ha 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 ha!